The summer you were 10 lasted forever. Last year you blinked and it was gone. And the reason isn't your clock. It's what your brain decided to record. Think about that. The seconds are the same length they've always been. A minute now is a minute then. So why does a whole year of your adult life vanish like a weekend, while one childhood summer stretched out like an ocean? By the end of this, you'll know exactly where those missing years went, and you'll know how to get them back. Here's what almost everyone believes. Time speeds up because you're getting old. Your brain is slowing down, wearing out, running out of runway. It feels true. It is almost certainly wrong. The famous explanation is even older than you'd guess. Back in the 1800s, a French philosopher named Paul Janet did some simple math. To a 10-year-old, 1 year is a tenth of everything they've ever lived. To a 50-year-old, that same year is only a 50th. So the older year should feel smaller. Tidy. Neat. Still quoted well over a century later, and it barely holds up. Because that math can't explain something you already know from your own life. A single new weekend can feel bigger in your memory than a routine month. A ratio can't do that. Something else is going on. So scientists did the obvious thing. They put people in a lab and tested them. If time really speeds up as you age, older people should be worse at judging seconds and minutes. Ask them to guess when 30 seconds have passed. And here's the strange part. They're not reliably worse. Minute to minute, your sense of time stays pretty accurate your whole life. Sit with that. Oh, right now, in this moment, time is not moving faster for you than it did when you were 10. The speed up isn't happening now. It only shows up when you look back. That's the whole secret. The acceleration lives in memory, not in the moment. So let's talk about what your brain actually saves. Your brain doesn't record time. It records change, novelty, bursts. Something new happens and your brain lays down a thick, detailed memory. Something you've done 1,000 times and it barely bothers. Try it. Picture the drive you've done 1,000 times. The commute. Now, try to remember today's specific trip. The exact one. You can't, because your brain stopped writing it down years ago. That drive still cost you real minutes of real life, but there's no recording of it. That erased footage is exactly the time that disappears. Now run the same test on your childhood. The summer between 2 grades of school felt like 100 separate days. First swim. First scraped knee. First time staying out until the streetlights came on. Every day was a first. Your brain was recording constantly in high detail because everything was new. Now think of last summer as an adult. You might have one word for it. Fork. A single blur. Same 3 months. A fraction of the footage. That's why childhood feels long. Not because kids are patient, because childhood is packed wall to wall with bursts. Dense, rich memory. And when you look back, all that texture stretches the years out. Psychologists found the fingerprint of this. Ask a 70-year-old to list their most vivid memories. You'd expect them spread evenly across life. They're not. A huge cluster falls between roughly 15 and 30. First love, leaving home, first job. The years that built who you are. Researchers call it the reminiscence bump. Those years become the backbone of your entire life story, and decade after that just thins out. Now, here's the part that should genuinely rearrange your sense of time. In the moment and in memory, time can run in opposite directions. Think of a boring week. While you're in it, it drags. It feels endless. But look back a month later, and it's gone. It evaporated. Now think of a packed vacation. In the moment, it flies. But look back, and it feels long, full, rich. New streets, new food, new faces. Dense memory again. So, the same week can feel slow to live and short to remember. Your brain is running 2 different clocks, and they don't agree. Nobody proved the memory part more cleanly than a neuroscientist named David Eagleman. He wanted to test the thing people always say, that in a car crash or a fall, time slows down. So he built a tower. He dropped volunteers about 150 feet into a net. Real free fall. On their wrist, a device flashing a number just a little too fast to read normally. His logic was simple. If your perception truly speeds up in terror, you should be able to read that number as it falls. They couldn't. Not one of them read it faster. Yet every single one swore time had slowed down. So the slow motion feeling is real. But it's not happening in the moment. It's your brain laying down a flood of extra memory. And when you replay a memory that thick, it feels like it took longer. The richness is in the recording, not the falling. Now, you might be forming the obvious objection. Come on. Old brains really are slower. That has to matter. It does, a little. In 2019, an engineer named Adrian Bajan argued that the aging eye and brain physically process images more slowly, fewer mental frames per second. So more real time passes between each snapshot, and the world seems to rush by. It's a real idea. It's also still debated, not settled. And here's why it can't be the whole story. Because if the slowdown were just worn out wiring, nothing could fix it. And something can. Fill an adult year with genuine new experience, and that year comes back to you long. Move to a new city, and the first month feels enormous. Learn something hard. Go somewhere you've never been, and your brain starts recording in high detail again, the way it did when you were 10. The years aren't speeding up because you're broken. They're speeding up because you stopped giving your brain anything worth writing down. The problem isn't decline. It's routine. It's novelty starvation. Long before any of this science existed, a psychologist named William James saw it. In 1890, he wrote that as we age, the days and weeks smooth themselves out, and the years grow hollow and collapse. Hollow and collapse. He was describing memory compression a century before anyone could measure it. So here's what's really happening to your time. Time isn't accelerating. Your life is thinning out. The years feel fast because they've gone smooth and empty, one commute stacked on the next, nothing new for your brain to catch on. Which means the summer you were 10 wasn't magic. It was just full of firsts. Full of things your brain thought were worth keeping. And that's the strange gift buried in all of this. The fix isn't a clock. It's a choice. Do one genuinely new thing, and your brain wakes up and starts recording again. Do that often enough, and the year gets its texture back. It gets long again. You can't add hours to the day, but you can add days to the year that you'll actually remember. And remembering it is the only way you ever really get to keep it.